Okay, so here we are in part 3. Welcome to my channel. If you're new here, welcome, and please subscribe. Okay, so what led up to the divorce? Well, this was in 2017, but even I want to say 2015, I just got tired. I got tired of being taken for granted. I had stopped washing his clothes. I had stopped cooking. I had stopped a lot of things. Like, I stopped doing a lot of things for him because I felt like I was being taken for granted. The drunken rages, I was over it. You know, you never know which person you were going to get with him, coming home drunk, red eyes, dragging himself, belligerent, mean, nasty. And I used to tell him all the time, you're mean and nasty, and I don't like it. And he would think it was so funny, and I wasn't joking. I was serious. Like, you're mean, you're nasty to all of us, me and my children. Me and my children, we would have like nice conversations when he wasn't in the house. As soon as he stepped in the house, we would just just shut up. Like, we wouldn't say anything because we knew we did not want to poke the bear. Like, we would walk on eggshells in this house. And I had just gotten tired of it. The way he talked to me, the way he talked to my children, you know, it was awful. I mean, you would never think so though, because we were like, I just held up a front so good, like the smile on my face, you know. We would go somewhere, he would leave us, we would have to find our way home, me and the children, no matter what time of the night it was. It was just bad. It was bad. Like, we literally had to fend for ourselves all the time, me and my children. And you know, I stopped going out with him because every time we went out, he would get drunk, want to start a fight with me, and we would come home fighting, and police would be called. My sister had to call the police on him a few times. He was choking me. I got tired of it. I got really tired of it. So I don't know if it was 2015, maybe around that time, I started sleeping on the couch, because at that point I was like, I'm not even having sex with this man anymore, because I realized that sex was keeping me tied to him, you know. And at that time also, maybe it wasn't 2015, maybe it was 2016, because I had started going back to church. And you know, in the church they always say, you know, it's like in the church, women are supposed to put up with anything. Like, don't matter what their husband does, like, you're just supposed to pray for him, and you know, pray that God will touch him and fix him and change him. And I did all I felt like I was praying and praying and praying, and nothing changed. I was praying and praying and praying. The only thing I was doing, I was praying and drinking. Praying and drinking a bottle of wine a night. I kid you not. I mean, like, I was just so out of it. Every night I would come home after work because I just wanted to disassociate. So it's literally like I was doing the same things he was doing. He would come home half drunk, I would come home and get drunk. Like, I did not want to do, and I would tell him, you're drunk, just go to bed. And he just would walk around the house and belligerent, and I'm like, why don't you just go to sleep? And he never would. He just came in the house to cause ruckus and havoc. I didn't want to deal with it. So I would literally come home after work, kick off my shoes, maybe run a bath, and just drink a whole bottle of wine and go to sleep. My poor children, I didn't even think about them at the time. I just needed like a peace of mind. And that's what I would do. I did that for a long time, drinking a bottle of wine a night. And of course he didn't care because he was drunk. So we both drunk, and it was just awful. Right? So, and I would get up, go to work, come back, and do it all over again. So I saw, you know, my spirit was declining, even though I was praying, but I was so disheartened. I was so spiritually empty. I was going to this church every week, going to Bible study, serving in the church, just doing so many things. And I just knew I couldn't trust people in the church to tell them what I was going through. You know, it was not that kind of relationship and I had friends in the church, but I don't want to talk bad about the church, but most churches, the friends that you meet there, they're judgmental because they're so religious. They judge you. I didn't want to be judged. I didn't want to be judged about my marriage. I didn't want to be judged for my drinking. I didn't want to be judged. I just wanted somebody to help me, right? So, and only thing that I felt was helping me at the time was the bottle of wine that I was drinking every night. And so, and the prayer, I mean, I prayed for him. I prayed, prayed for my family. I prayed every day, all day. Read my Bible. I did all of that. And I just felt like nothing was changing. So then I started kind of slipping away from that. I started reading more about spirituality. And then I started getting my crystals. I went down to tarot. I started watching tarot cards. I literally started, I just moved away from religion, that religion, and started diving into other things. And I really believe that that's what kind of jump started the divorce, because I started to feel like I needed, or that I deserved more. Like something started coming over me to make me feel more empowered. Yeah, I just started feeling like a spirit of empowerment. And at the time, I didn't have a job. I did not have a job because I had quit my job at the school. So I started my own business, and my business was just like kicking off. Like, I was making money here and there. I wasn't making a lot of money, but I was making some money. And at that time, we started having money problems because he wasn't working. His job had laid him. I mean, it was just like everything was coming down. And at the time, I was, like I said, I was watching these tarot card videos, and it's like they was just telling me everything that was going on in my life, and I started believing it. And when they were saying, a significant other lost his job, I mean, it was like, to me, prophesying to a T. And I'm like, wow. So, I started wearing my crystals for protection. I mean, I don't wear those things anymore. I don't feel like I need them. But I started wearing my crystals for protection. I was really, really getting into it. And I was still going to church. But then I started slipping away from church because I felt like I was getting more results, from watching the tarot card readings and wearing my crystals and meditating than I did from going to church and praying the way that I was raised to pray and go to church. So I started backing up from the church. And I remember I did the Women's Day, and they had a new preacher there, and the old preacher left because he was having an affair with one of the attendees. Typical church, right? And so we had a new preacher with his wife, but I had already signed up to be the Women's Day president that year before the new pastors came. I didn't know there was going to be a new pastor. I was going to do it under the old pastor. I didn't really want to do it anymore because I liked the old pastor, even though he had an affair. Terrible. But the new pastors came, so I did the Women's Day, and usually it's just for 1 year. And so I did the Women's Day or whatever. And so the new pastor's wife was like, "Oh, Danielle, you did such a great job Women's Day. Can't wait to have you do it next year." And I said, "Next year?" And she said, "Yeah, next year." I said, "Oh no." I said, "I only do Women's Day one." I said, "In this church, we only do it one time, once a year. One person does it one time, not 2 years in a row." And so she's like, "Oh no, under me, it's 2 years." I said, "Well, I'm not doing that." She's like, "Oh yes, you are." This was the pastor's wife. She was like, "Oh yes, you are." I said, "Oh no, I'm not." She said, we going back and forth. She said, "Oh yes, you are." I said, "No, I'm not." She was like, "Why? Why are you not doing it?" And I felt like I didn't owe her an explanation as to why I'm not doing it. First of all, I said, because we only do 1 year. Like, nobody told me I was going to do 2 years. I said, if somebody would have told me I had to do this 2 years in a row, I wouldn't have done it. I said, because the old pastor it was only 1 year. So she's tried to convince me, and I told her, I said, Reverend's wife, I'm not doing this." somebody has to step up and we can vote somebody in for next year. So I held a meeting that next Sunday, told them I was stepping down and for somebody to step up. And after that, I said, you know, I got to get away from these church people. I have to get away from these church people because they think that, and it's used to be like, well, where's your husband? And I'm just like, why? You know, like, it just was no support. Like, you know, where's your husband? Because I'm like, I'm overwhelmed. I was in school. I was working. Well, was I working at the time? I don't know. Maybe I was just in school at that time. I don't know. But I had my own life, period. I had little kids. I had, you know, children. Like, you can't tell me what I'm going to be doing next year. Like, I didn't plan for that in my life. So, yeah. So, I didn't do it. And then, I don't know if I started telling people that I'm leaving the church. I don't remember. But all I can remember, and this still rings in my head today, somebody said to me, don't let the devil get you. And I was like, I felt like he already had me. You know, my marriage was in shambles. I'm drinking every day. You know, like I felt like, can the devil really get me any more than it already is? But oh yeah, the devil can get you much worse. But so I left the church, started doing my tarot cards. I'm like, is this the devil? I didn't know at the time. I was like, you know what? I'm just going to figure this out. I'm going to find my way. And so eventually, like I said, I was just listening to my tarot cards. I was meditating, and I was sleeping on the couch. And I had all these different crystals of protection all around me, like on the shelf everywhere, because I believed that these crystals were protecting me from this man. And he was mad.